Subsequent Moviefilm is the sequel to the original Borat movie that came out in theaters. This one is coming directly to Amazon Prime. Normally, this decision probably would have been made because worrying of the popularity of Borat, because it's been so long, it might be easier to put it on streaming and have a bigger success that way compared to what it could make at the box office, because you don't want to take a risk. But in this case, it's because theaters are a place you want to avoid currently. But this movie does follow up the first Borat film. Kazakhstan has canceled Borat, as they kind of describe it, because of the movie that made fun of them. So they canceled him, they stripped him of his journalism license. But the plot of this movie is that they're hoping to make good with America by sending Borat to deliver this really intelligent monkey to President Donald Trump. And if he does this successfully, the people of Kazakhstan will embrace him once again. He'll be uncancelled. But while he's going to America, he finds out that one of his children, his daughter, has snuck aboard his ship and is now with him, journeying across America. Normally when it comes to comedy sequels, it's something to be very wary of, and especially in the case of something like Borat 2, because with Borat it was this smash hit that everyone loves. I love it too. It's really uncomfortable because it's an actor going into these situations with real people, not really sure how they're going to react because you're doing these outlandish things. It's one of those things where it's hard for me to watch, but it's one of my favorite comedies of all time. So following up that massive success with a follow-up, even though people may say they want more of like a particular character or more of a particular kind of comedy with a film, making a follow-up sometimes doesn't work and it becomes the worst version of the first movie. But with Borat 2, it was a little bit different for me, because in the years since Borat and this, he did a show on Showtime called Who is America? And it's basically Sacha Baron Cohen going in disguise and all these other alter egos and pranking people, similar to how he's done with Borat before, but in this case it's like some famous politicians involved too. He's able to get them to do crazy stuff. So I was like, you know, if he's able to bring that same magic, it doesn't have to be exactly as good as Borat, but if he can still just deliver on insanity for Borat 2, then I'll be happy with it. And I ended up really happy with this movie. This movie was really fun. If you want to mention issues really quick with the movie, you can definitely tell when certain things are staged this time around, whereas the first one, the way it's made, it feels so documentary-like, like literally anything could happen on the fly. And in this one, you can kind of point out like there's literally a costume in a Halloween store. And normally the kind of outfit, because it looks like Borat, it would just be called Borat, but it says stupid foreign reporter. So it's like, okay, yeah, that's a staged gag there. And there's a moment where it seems like for a bit maybe Borat's in a real place interacting with a real person who isn't in on the gag, but then he looks up at the TV and a convenient news piece is playing at the exact right moment. It was like, oh, that's probably okay. So and it makes sense now. This guy, the people that are in on the gag don't particularly have the best acting, because they still want to use real people, but they can't really act, and they're trying to, like, you can tell, like, we're in on it, we know what you're doing here. It's just not particularly the best acting to watch, and it kind of takes you out of it, because the first movie, there's a real, like, natural feel to it other than just this outlandish character, Borat. And this one, you can kind of see where certain things they're doing are staged. You can tell also when it's a complete surprise to everyone else around you, but the people that are in on it stand out, and that's a little awkward. And other than that, there's a couple jokes they throw in that I was like, man, not the best joke for this moment. But overall, this movie is really laugh out loud funny. There's a certain moment in this movie, it's just like a mundane line of dialogue compared to the bigger gags that happen. But the way Sacha Baron Cohen said it, just so like quickly and just over with, and the way it's set up the next scene, I was dying laughing. And Sacha Baron Cohen is still great as Borat. He still has it really down. And I was wondering beforehand, like, how can you really make another Borat movie? Or how can Sacha Baron Cohen go about in this Borat outfit again and trick people? Because people will recognize the suit and the mustache, the hair. So how's this gonna work? So they play it up really well where he has to dress up in other disguises. So he's pretending to be other people, but he's still also being Borat too. So it's Borat pretending to be other people and like honing in on certain stereotypes of what he's dressing as. So I thought that was really funny, and it led to some really funny scenes. There's a lot of like good build-ups to stuff. Like there's a whole string of events leading up to this clinic meeting, I guess I'll put it like that. And for a while I was like, okay, where's this going? Like, it's funny and it's fun to watch because it's this character, but where's this all gonna go? And then it all comes to a head in this meeting, and I was like, holy shit, the the phrasing, the delivery, it's so perfect. There is a certain level of humor that is added when you watch the real life people interacting, and there's a certain like weirdness when you see people act in ways that they do, which is kind of the thing about the first Borat, is when they kind of exposed, like, because it is a social commentary at the end of the day. A lot of people like to remember it for its raunchiness, but it is a social commentary at the end of the day. It was exposing aspects of our society that maybe we weren't aware of, or specific details of it that we need to hone in on a bit more, as this might be a problem. And it's not as surprising in this one, obviously. Like, a couple years have passed, and especially now in the day and age where everything can be shared, like, a lot of people are videotaping people being awful, so it's not as surprising this time around to see people act in certain ways. Now it's just kind of like, oh, yep, it's one of these people. But it still kind of adds to not just the humor of the situation, but it kind of adds to the importance of this movie's release and the timing of it all, and what it overall has to say, not just about our country, but about our administration. Another thing this movie adds to kind of keep it fresh is that they add in Borat's daughter, played by Maria Bakalova, who is great. She's been in a couple other movies from other countries, so bringing her in for this, it's safe because she's a good actress, guaranteed, because she's been in other stuff, but also no one in the States is going to recognize her, obviously. She's not as big of a name as Sacha Baron Cohen, even if she was in other stuff before, you know? It's kind of like, I was so weirded out by, like, Bad Trip, that Eric Andre, Lil Rel Howery movie, because it's like, okay, these people, like, these two, maybe they're, like, more small time, maybe people won't recognize them instantly, but then you have Tiffany Haddish doing stuff, and I'm surprised that no one knows who Tiffany Haddish is. And then it made me think, like, well, Eric Andre's show is actually pretty big, and Lil Rel Howery, you know, he's been killing it, you know, he was in Get Out and he's in some other movies too. So it makes more sense to have someone who, for sure, no one will recognize. Sacha Baron Cohen is in all the makeup and prosthetics, and then you have this actress who dresses up occasionally, but even in her natural look, no one would really recognize her instantly. And she plays it up very well too. I don't know if her whole future in her career is going to be comedy or the exact same kind of comedy stylings of Sacha Baron Cohen, or if she's going to branch out more, but I would love to see more of her. She is really great in this. She handles all the jokes well. She plays off of Sacha Baron Cohen excellently, and there's never a moment where you're like, she's kind of lacking in this area and he's clearly the master at this. Like, they're on the same wavelength the entire time as far as the performance. There's a standout dance number in this that is so funny, that had me rolling. There's several raunchy, just like, oh god, moments in this movie that'll have you rolling for sure. And it all kind of culminates to an ending, not just the big one that everyone's kind of talking about, that at first I was like, I'm not like too mad that people have kind of talked about it, even though there was like an embargo notice, like, please don't talk about this specific thing, and everyone kind of talked about it. And I'm still not particularly mad that people started talking about it in the news, but once I found out that the whole movie was kind of building to this part as like an ending, I was like, okay, I'm a little bummed that this couldn't be a bigger surprise, but you know, it's expected. But then narratively, they get back to like the narrative, and the way they kind of explain a certain event that we're going through right now, it's so funny, and it's the way he's able to tie it all together. It's kind of genius. Like, I did like that aside from them, you know, they plan stuff to coincide with real life, like, we're gonna meet up with this person, or we're gonna be doing this thing at this big public convention. There's also a little bit of narrative here that culminates at the end, where I was like, okay, that's really satisfying and really great. I really enjoyed that. So overall, it's definitely not as funny as the first Borat. Obviously, you can't capture lightning in a bottle twice, especially for that amount of quality. This movie is still really fun, and it is a really good examination of our current culture in America today, and I found it really entertaining. Even the thing that they spoiled in the media, watching it is just absolutely batshit. It's still, like, it still doesn't take away the shock when you watch it. Like, you're still able to watch and go, like, I can't believe that the mad genius of Sacha Baron Cohen and his team were able to set this up and pull it off. I can't believe it. I'm gonna give Borat Subsequent Moviefilm a B+. It's for free on Amazon Prime right now if you have that, so go check it out, please. Even if you're kind of worried because it's a sequel, will they be able to be as good? Because most comedy sequels aren't as good. I'd say still give it a chance, because it could end up being really fun for you, like it was for me. But if you've seen Borat Subsequent Moviefilm, leave in the comments below what you thought of it, and as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.